This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And tonight we watched Bitch Slap. 3 bad girls travel to a remote desert hideaway to steal $200 million in diamonds from a ruthless underworld kingpin. Let's watch!
It's our 50th episode.
Whoa!
Hey!
We are officially 1/5 of the way through.
Yeah. For all of you naysayers who said, you can't make it, stop making this podcast. Oh my God, you'll never make it out of our small town where we don't dance. We say to you, 50 episodes say otherwise.
You really showed them, Michelle.
I've gotten much better at improvising sentences, I think is the main thing of the podcast, yeah.
50 episodes deep, which means we're close to 1 year of bad movie consumption.
Yeah, the 1 year is just around the corner.
Yeah, I'm slightly annoyed they don't completely align.
Yeah, it would be easier if there were 50 weeks in a year and then we would know exactly.
I propose that we change the calendar that we abide by to ensure that it falls in line with our Rating Descending schedule.
That actually means technically this isn't a 5-year project. It's a 4 and however many months year project.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50 episodes deep. It's been...
Oh, man, we're deep as hell at this point.
We're deep as hell.
We're down in the fucking Mariana Trench, balls deep.
100... Not just the tip is well lodged within
James
this
Cameron
absolute bussy of a project.
Is down here searching this bussy, and we're here with him going, hey, how you going, Jamie boy? And he goes up to the whiteboard and writes a $sign, and we're like, yeah, that's our hope for the podcast too.
Do you have any reflections being 50 episodes deep?
I'd say as a positive, I think I'm better at maintaining a cohesive thought as someone who, as a teenager, used to stutter a fuck ton. Or rather, more than anything, I think I've gotten much better at editing the podcast, so it sounds like I know how to say a cohesive sentence. And as a negative, I've learnt just how much of an oversharer I am, because I've talked a lot about so much about me on this podcast.
Which is good.
I guess that is a good thing.
Can't remain an enigmatic, elusive figure, Michelle. You have to step into the light.
It feels tragic to admit that this is probably the year that I've watched the most movies in some ways.
We've definitely watched 50 new movies in the last year, which is some kind of, that's nice.
Well, I mean,
definitely didn't read 50 new books, but...
No, oh my God. Yeah, well, I mean... We've watched more than 50 new movies because we do watch other movies in our free time, but the overwhelming majority is things on this list.
Fair enough.
What about you? What are your takeaways?
I mean, I think I've definitely learned to have a more professional approach to this project. I think that over the year I've learned how to rein in my chaos and my ability to go on a tangent and derail the entire podcast. I'll just say it. You keep us on track. And I'm the one trying to steer us into an absolute lake.
Or again, I've learned better how to edit the podcast so that you're on track.
Yeah. In terms of what I've learned from the movies that we've watched, I've become incredibly disillusioned with the craft of cinema.
Yeah, I've always been a big believer in films as an art form, but I have had my faith tested.
Yeah.
in the ability of this medium to communicate genuine catharsis for humanity.
I just think I need in the next 50 episodes, in the next 50 movies that we watch, I really need to make sure that at least once a week when we're watching these bad films and recording, we're balancing it out by watching a good film as well. So I think I need to make sure I've got that balance. Due to uni, I was spread so thin I didn't even have time to watch new good movies. So I was just watching bad movies for the podcast. Yeah. I really need that balance. I think if I'm watching one bad movie a week, I need to watch at least 2 good movies just to even it out.
Doubt it.
Well, thank you for whoever is listening. Thank you for listening to 50 episodes, 1/5 of this podcast.
4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more years.
4 more years. Oh, was it just stopping that?
That's it. Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to feel like this is such a major milestone and we have so much left. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, 1 and then there's 4 years more, huh? But then I'm like, well, we watched 50 and there's 200 more.
Is it crazy or just flat out disheartening?
I guess it depends on whether you want me to focus on the wow, cool podcast that I've spent a lot of the last 50 episodes talking about how it has consistently been one of my favorite things in my life. And for some of that time, what felt like one of the only good things at all. Or if I focus on actually consuming the content that we have to then talk about, because if it's the latter, negative.
Look, I love the podcast, right?
Yeah.
I love our premise. I love us.
Aw.
However, the act of watching the film is like a modern day like torture method. And I do feel I am dumber for this project. So I don't know how I feel about another 4 years of it. I hope by the end we'll just be two babbling masses.
Yeah.
Deformed old crones.
I mean, if it's 200
4
more
more
of
years
this.
of that, baby.
God.
Buckling, get ready. What a wonderful way to celebrate 50 solid episodes of Rating Descending with tonight's episode, Bitch Slap. What a film.
As soon as this movie began, I'm like, this is the perfect 50th, because this is going in exactly what I thought the whole list was going to be.
I think it's the perfect example of what we hoped every film on this list would be like, which is balls to the walls, chaos, bad performances, cliches,
buck wild from beginning to end,
insane action sequences, death, violence, fist fights, gunfights.
The line of how self-aware it was so thin.
Yes.
Shockingly thin.
Yeah. This was an incredible film. This has restored me, revigorated me, rejuvenated me. I am lighter, I am brighter, I am woman. Bitch slap.
I mean, actually, that would be a good trailer, is you doing that.
I don't know if it's a trailer for Bitch Slap or like a shaving razor, like a little like razor product from like Nivea.
I feel revivified, re-energized.
I am woman.
Venus. I'm your Venus.
Or the funny version.
Oh, okay.
I'm your penis.
I'm vagina. Loins on fire.
That's pretty good. I didn't know that. That's a good addition.
That's what I always added. When I was
Peak
a
comedy.
kid. Yeah.
I think what we've learned over 50 episodes is how to do the funnies.
I was going to say,
how to delve into a little bit of a chuckle, genital related humor.
Just a little bit of a chuckle.
Yeah.
You know, guys, what we've really learnt how to refine was we now pluck the chuckle right from the tree and freshly squeeze it every episode.
The chuckle doesn't rot far from the tree. That's not the phrase. The chuckle doesn't fall.
Throw the chuckle into the barrel and give it a little bit of a giggle. But now our freshly squeezed chuckle juice comes straight pouring through the microphone and out into your fresh nectar-filled ears.
Slap it up.
I've also discovered I don't think I'm as funny as I thought I was.
And there it is.
Yeah.
The chuckle. No, this film was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this. I'd watch it again. You had a tough time tracking this film down in the first place for us to watch. So you bought it on DVD, and I'm glad you did.
Easily the hardest to find. I don't know what it was. I couldn't find any legally obtainable sources of it. It's not on any streaming platforms in Australia. None of the places that you could buy or rent it in Australia online, like on Prime, like it is available, but then it's geo-locked. And even when I was using a VPN, that didn't work. And then it was sold out everywhere. All I found that could actually be shipped in time, because I was at the end, it was like 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks before we had to watch it, and I was like, fuck, I still don't fucking have it. I'm not going to be able to import anything from the US. I found 2 former rental copies being sold on eBay by just random dudes, and I just bought one of them, and it was like one of only 2 copies in Australia being sold that I could find.
Damn. I'm glad that we have it forever though. Like, I'm glad that we have a hard copy of this bad boy forever, because I will absolutely be returning to Bitch Slap. This needs to be shown at a bad movie night for sure.
Yeah, it was, you know how I joked Human Centipede was as bad as I think Lars von Trier is? this movie was as bad as I insist that Sin City is.
I still haven't seen Sin City properly.
You're lucky.
I really am. Because it just seems strange.
I really loved that movie when I was a teenager because it was just so interesting and wild. And I just had such a hard turn against it for being such like weird machismo, masculine kind of bullshit.
But Bitch Slap
But Bitch Slap
is the best.
Yeah, I mean,
literally nothing problematic about it whatsoever.
I turned to my girlfriend while we were watching it and I said, for all the women having sex with each other in this movie, I'm fairly sure the director would still hate crime me.
100%. I want to talk about this film, so I'm going to launch into the overview for you guys.
Let's do it.
Before I do it, I do want to mention it was fucking hard writing this because it was hard to synthesize such a chaotic plot where they basically kept using these elaborate time jumps where every time it would jump back in time, it would jump back further and further and further, almost like, yeah, they were playing with these time jumps.
There's something else that does that, and I can't think of what it is, where it's, as you said, it's flashbacks, but each flashback is further back.
Yeah.
So it's like telling the backstory in reverse of how it got to the point at the beginning of the movie.
So the director kept citing Memento. I haven't seen Memento in years. Did Memento do that? I can't remember Memento because I didn't like it.
In some ways, yes, but absolutely not in the way that he's saying.
Yeah.
I love Memento. Memento's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Memento does have part of the movie is going forwards and part of it is the scenes are in reverse chronological order and then they meet in the middle.
Right.
Which is not what this is doing in any way. And I think it's endlessly hilarious that the director thinks that that was an inspiration.
I'm going to do my best to explain the plot of this film to you all. Bear with me.
Just so everyone at home knows, this might actually be new to me as well.
Trixie, a down-and-out stripper, Camiro, a drug-running killer and ex-convict, and Hell, a corporate power broker, arrive at a remote desert hideaway to extort massive riches from a ruthless killer named Pinky, a notorious underworld figure. They kidnap and kill a gangster called Gage when he won't reveal where the treasure is buried. A police officer named Deputy Fuchs?
Because it looks like fucks.
Arrives. The three women hide the body and convince Fuchs to leave. The women find the dead body of one of Hell's contacts. Trixie becomes hysterical. Hell comforts her and the two have sex. Camaro finds them and feels betrayed. A villain named Hotwire and his girlfriend Kinky arrive and hold the women hostage, forcing them to dig for the buried treasure. Deputy Fuchs returns and attempts to save the women, and a gunfight ensues. Hell and Trixie find a hidden bunker full of goods stolen from Pinky, including diamonds and a sword, which Trixie takes. Camiro, believing that she is in the midst of a double cross, bites Hell for the diamonds. Camiro overcomes Hell and sets Trixie afire. Camiro attempts to drive away with the diamonds, but Hell fires a rocket that destroys her car. This is tough, all right? I know it sounds bad, but I'm doing my best.
No, this is way more clear than the movie.
Camiro returns and again fights Hell. She beats Hell to the ground. Camiro assumes she's dead and moves to kill Trixie. Before she can, Camiro is shot in the back by Deputy Fuchs. However, instead of thanking him, Trixie kills Fuchs using a hidden throwing star. Trixie turns out to be Pinky, and she concocted the entire plot to retrieve the sword she took from Gage's bunker, which he had taken from her 6 months previously. That's the plot.
Yeah.
I tried my best.
You succeeded, I think.
It's really tough because that's like the storyline happening, and then we get a bunch of flashback scenes explaining the plot slowly.
Yeah.
The whole twist at the end of Trixie being Pinky, did you see it coming? Because I fucking saw it coming.
As soon as they were like, oh, there's Pinky, the master criminal, I was like, it's Trixie.
Yeah, because doesn't it feel like quite odd that there's 3 women and 2 of them are like really strong, powerful, but there's one blubbering girl that just can't stop crying and she's so innocent.
It's the answer to the twist that is the dumbest, but would make the director feel the smartest, which is why I knew that's what they did.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Like, especially, they were so bad at hiding it as well. And also, they were so fixated on doing it that it also doesn't make sense with some of the things. Like, I don't understand why Trixie does literally anything that she does
and they're
in the
like,
movie.
she's like, this is all a plot to like get the sword back. And it's like, man, there was a way easier thing for you to do. I mean, if you're so powerful, if you're such a kingpin and you needed the sword back, there's easier steps you could have taken to retrieve that item.
Even if she does it in that way, because as she says, she gets off on it, it could have ended a lot of times sooner. Like, she could grab it when they're out in the desert at almost any time.
Yeah.
Did she not know where it was? Or when she's in the bunker? Like,
I'm not even sure I can plunge into the logic issues of this film because don't really understand what happened most of the time.
Oh, I spent the first 45 minutes of it going, wait, no, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is actually going on?
Yeah. I had to refer to the Wikipedia summary multiple times to make sure I was still on track and it still didn't check out.
Yeah, I did that too. Like about 20 minutes in, I was like, I don't think I know what's going on. Did I miss something? And I looked on the Wikipedia and I was like, oh, no, I think I get it. It just doesn't make any sense.
I think firstly, what I would like to talk about and just get out of the way.
Let's do it.
This is something that people see as an exploitation film.
Right. Like it did feel very classic B movie.
Yeah, it is. And like I think that like people think it's like a nod to exploitation films or like a satire or homage to them, right?
That's very, very generous.
Generous. The director himself, his name is Rick Jacobson.
Sure.
In an interview, he even said about this film was never, I'm going to go out and make a new exploitation film. It was more just simply built on the idea of 3 sexy hot women dressed inappropriately out in the dirty, barren wasteland. So even he has said, nah, it's not a homage to exploitation films. I'm not giving it that leniency. I'm just a degenerate. I'm just a simple man of simple pleasure.
People said to him, oh, but it's satire, right?
It's an exploitation
like trying to like
film. It's
really feed it to him, and
tropey and
he's like, nah, it's about hot babes and not enough clothes.
Yeah, he's really obsessed with the idea of hot babes and tight little skirts.
Oh, I saw the credit sequence, all right, which was literally just a bunch of what looked like people's home videos of women dancing. It immediately made me go like, I hope all of those are obtained legally.
Yeah,
'cause I had that vibe.
Well, he in a lot of videos kept being like, I'm obsessed with strong, powerful women. Like, I've always been attracted to that. And it's like, you're just obsessed with hot women. I think you're mistaking women being in positions of power as something that makes it feminist for you to lust over women, but that's not quite the case.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys I've known struggle with this, where the woman being put into a position of power isn't actually the thing that makes it feminist.
Yeah.
My favorite example of that used to be Michelle Rodriguez for that 5 years where she played the same role of masculine woman in every movie, where they were like, if we give woman gun, then she feminist, and then take away all of her feminine traits.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not feminist.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing feminist about a man saying that he literally just wants to make a film about 3 sexy hot women dressed inappropriately out in the wasteland. There's nothing salvageable there.
But also, I'm like, I get it. Like, you know, a bunch of sexy women going out and fighting, that sounds like a fun movie. That could be cool. This isn't
that. I think I looked up his IMDb page and saw the photo of him and I was like, you fucking loser. Fucking loser.
I mean, it's not going to be like Tom Six sitting out on his Dutch cabana, looking upon his plantation, smoking his cigar, going, you know what fucked up shit we all think?
With his series of gimps crawling around at his feet.
Everybody
Everyone's
would
like
do this.
I'm just doing what everyone's thinking. No, Tom, no.
Whereas I like that this guy's like, yeah, it's just me. I'm a dirty little pervert and I want women to step on me. I'm like, you know what?
At least he's being honest about it, I guess. It'd almost be remiss of us to really have to dwell on how fucked up this film is in terms of, like sexism, because there isn't much that has to be. You can watch the film and you can be like, right, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. This is fucked.
So obvious and sincere about it that it actually doesn't bother me as much as some of the other movies.
Right, there's nothing nuanced to say here. It's just that this guy got his rocks off to like big-titted women throwing water on each other, because that happens, by the way, viewers. Let me set
many
the
slow
scene.
motion tit shots.
Yeah, setting the scene for you all. They're out in the desert. They're digging. They're having fun. They're talking about the best sex of their life. And then one of them's like, fuck, it's hot. And she just throws water on her face. And the other one's like, don't you dare. And a big, busty, slow-mo water fight erupts. And I was watching it being like, nothing to report on here. I have nothing to say. There's nothing that I don't need to waste my time delving into this.
You're forgetting it like smashing frames together like comic book style.
How could I forget,
with, like,
Michelle?
the outlines. It's like rock music, butt rock is playing. Tits.
Titties.
What? I mean, it made for a fantastic opening. I knew exactly what movie this was.
I also heavily enjoyed a lot of like the violence and like the I mean, there's so many scenes to touch on. One of my favorite scenes was a flashback to Camaro.
Yeah.
Basically confronting Kinky having sex with, I don't think it was Hotwire. I think it was a different guy. Like it was a gang that she was getting money off of.
Yeah.
And she rides up to them on her motorbike.
Oh,
and
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah,
she traps one of the guys by plowing him into a wall with her motorbike, screaming in his face. And then she turns it around on him, flicks her back wheel into him, and there's just blood sprays everywhere.
He's
blood
going
everywhere. And Kimira like looks over her shoulder like, huh, and rides off into the distance. I was like, I think that was like 20 minutes deep into the film, and I was like, I'm here, I'm present, I can't wait for the next hour of this.
It doesn't even explain what she's doing, why she's there, what she's there to do.
And if it did explain it, there was no fathomable way that we could have actually interpreted what was happening anyway.
I feel like we're not elaborating, by the way, on one detail I think is important. It's not even a detail. All of the like present stuff is actually in the desert by a caravan, but all of the flashbacks,
it's all like green screened.
But it's not like, oh, it's green screen. It's like they're standing on a studio floor with a still image of a green screen behind them, like my first YouTube video. Like just
it's insane.
The worst. That's why I thought it was maybe doing Sin City. I'm like, is it being comic booky? And this is like a flashback, because that's, again, me trying to be generous. I'm sure if I said that to him, the director would just go, nah, didn't have the budget, thought it looked cool.
There's just so many visuals in this film that like, I want to say now, I think everyone should watch Bitch Slap. Everyone. I think it's fun for all. Yeah. You can get outraged about how fucked up it is in terms of like the sexism and like exploitation of like females in this film.
Yeah.
Try and move past that. I beg of you, because it's still worth watching and enjoying.
Yeah.
I also loved the scene where Trixie is seducing Gage. No, sorry. Gage is going to kill Trixie by plowing a big instrument up her chutney tube, which is exactly what he called it in the film.
Yes.
And Camaro comes in to save her, and it cuts to her swinging down and kicking the window open.
Yeah.
The shots are incredible. We're seeing slow-mo shots of her flying through glass going, ah! Shards around her face. She's looking angry. The wides are bizarre. The close-ups are weirder. It's that movie hooked me. I was just like, that movie, that scene, that completely absorbed me.
To say the cinematography was good would
it's pronounced cinematography.
Oh, sorry. To say the cinnamon frosting was good would be an overstatement. But I honestly think the framing is some of the most inventive and interesting on this list.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually, like, it's not nice to look at because it's ugly.
Yeah.
But in those flashback sequences, there's some shots that I'm like, I don't think anyone else has thought of this.
100%.
This is fantastic.
Not even just the framing. Some of the dialogue in this film was inventive and insane. I have a couple of quotes here I'd like to read out to
Are
you.
any of them Gage's vicious descriptions of vaginas? Because that was maybe the only time that the sexism was actually making me go, ugh.
There was a couple of those listed, and I omitted them because I didn't want to read them out. Camaro says to Kinky at one point, "That's it, Pop-Tart. I'm going to dog pound you straight to China."
Because she is Asian. I don't know. I don't think she's Chinese specifically. I'm sure the director doesn't know.
There's also a line where she's fighting Hell, fist fighting her,
Yeah.
which we need to chat about in a second.
Absolutely.
And and Hell says, "Open wide, psycho slut." And Chimera says, "Lube my boob, skank twat."
Yes. That was one of the only quotes I memorized. Because how can you not once that's burned into your fucking frontal cortex?
There's also a line that Chimera says to Hell, and this is my personal favorite. "I'm gonna booty bang bitch slap your fucking ass until you're just this side of salvage. Then I'm gonna ram ride girly show tits asunder before I plow both of you bitches under." Poetic. The rhyming, the symmetry, the iambic pentameter.
This is like, if it wasn't really horrible and bad, this is actually great.
This is inspired dialogue.
Oh my god.
But those fight sequences of Camaro and Hell fist fighting. Claude
Yes.
came home when I was in like the final half hour of Bitch Slap to see that final fight sequence between Camaro and Hell. And he was just like, "This is insane." I was like, this is like the third fist fight between them as well.
Yeah.
This is not the first time.
I was thinking during that fight scene, because Zoe Bell did the fight choreography.
Yeah.
And as soon as I like remembered that, I could mostly tell in their fist fight, because I was like, this is a Zoe Bell fight.
Some
Like,
of the
having
fights
watched her other fights.
Really fun. I have to say, like, the energy and pace of this film made it really fun. And like, we really wanted to absorb it. And like, I actually quite enjoyed a lot of the action scenes because Zoe Bell is a good stunt coordinator.
She is. She's fantastic.
Yeah. I just really loved the one-liners they were just shooting at each other because they were just absolute nonsense.
Yeah, just the most buck-wild bullshit to ever trickle out of someone's mouth.
Yeah.
Without any rhyme or reason, without any sense. You know, most movies are trying too hard to make sure that when characters say something, they're communicating something that is relevant and makes sense and is intelligible. And I love that this film didn't bother with any of that criteria. No. They would just have a character apropos of nothing say, "Scream hellfire, bitch skank," and then just do an action. Like, it wouldn't even be to anyone. They would just declare it.
"I'm gonna booty bang bitch slap your fucking ass."
This is where it doesn't even matter who said it and to who.
It ends with "until you're just this side of salvage." What is that grammatically correct?
No, it doesn't mean anything. It's complete gibberish.
"Then I'm gonna ram ride girly show tits asunder."
It feels like an algorithm, like a word generator.
Yeah.
Like, you just fed it with an exploitation script.
It's probably just like a script bot that churned this shit out.
Yeah,
they put in the
meme of,
keywords.
I fed this algorithm 1,000 exploitation films, and this is the script it made.
The algorithm was like boss, bitch, tit, desert.
No, and then add synonyms for those.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought like, yeah, the actual like visuals of it, the dialogue. Mm-hmm. It was just like the exact perfect kind of bad movie I'd been waiting for.
We haven't even mentioned like Hell, the corporate. She's wearing literally like a pencil skirt and blouse and heels in the desert the whole time. And then it's revealed towards the end that she's a secret super spy by the codename Foxy69.
Yeah. And she works for a guy called Phoenix.
Played by Kevin Sorbo.
Yes.
Hercules was here again.
I keep thinking about the actors that keep repetitively coming up in these films. I really do want to put together like an Excel spreadsheet where I try and like get which actors have been in these the most.
Oh, yeah. So far. Yeah, and Lucy Lawless was there as well in the scene where Camaro is posing as a nun, and Lucy Lawless as a nun like opens the confessional booth, and Camaro's eating out another nun and is like, "Fine, I quit," and like pulls off her gown and is wearing this like crazy leather lingerie sort of thing, and like spanks her own ass.
Yeah, she turns around and like flips them off in slow-mo and then walks out in this like black leather bikini with still like the huge like ornamental habit still on her head. It's incredible.
That made me, like, that was fantastic. And like Lucy Lawless going, "My word." So perfect.
Lucy Lawless was a fantastic cameo to have.
Yeah.
She was Xena the Warrior Princess, and I'm pretty sure Zoe Bell was also the stunt coordinator on Xena.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense because, I mean, a lot of that was shot in New Zealand. That's why they used Lucy Lawless, and Zoe Bell's also from New Zealand. Or maybe she's just on it because Zoe Bell was like, "Hey,
I'm doing this crazy movie.
Check out this crazy movie I'm on." all of the characters are bi, right?
There's like, they're all just like, so essentially Trixie and Hell make out and start having sex. And then also Chimera, when she comes in, seems to have a thing for Hell. Like, I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah, well...
Is that she's got a crush on Hell as well.
Back when Hell went to prison specifically to find Chimera, like, she was undercover in prison, they made out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's implied that Chimera then was in love with Hell after that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So they are, like, gay and bi and stuff.
And then Chimera also, when Trixie kills her... there's the flashback to Chimera from like ages prior at some random like French circus had sex with Trixie, who was posing as a different.
That's the whole like plot twist is that Chimera's like, yeah, the best sex I ever had was with a contortionist. I never got her name.
Yeah.
And then she's about to kill Trixie and she sees a little rose tattooed on her thigh and she's like, and it goes to this flashback of them fucking in a circus tent.
Yeah.
And she sees the rose on the contortionist's thigh and she's like, oh my God. And it cuts back and she's like, you're the best lay I ever had. And Trixie's like, surprise. And then Chimera gets shot through the back by Fuchs.
By Officer Fuchs, who prior to this exploded in a caravan.
Yeah. And by the way, there's literally a bit, this is all nonsense. We're going back and forth about some of the outrageous parts of this film.
I actually think we're being more cohesive.
There's a bit where right in Chimera and Hell's final battle with each other where they're just beating the shit out of each other. And there's a bit where they're wrestling on the ground and I think Chimera gets under Hell and bites her vagina.
Yes.
She's literally just on the ground and she's like, and she lays her teeth into her crotch.
That, I think, was actually the bit where my brain was like, yes, that's right. Zoe Bell was the stunt coordinator. It just felt like a thing she would think is funny.
All of these recounts of the plot are like endorsements to go watch it, listeners.
Absolutely.
We encourage you.
Yeah.
We demand that you watch this.
Not even bring up like the whole thing with Officer Fuchs, who like arrives earlier and they have to like pretend that they're just out in the woods and Hell like offers him sex, but you know, he's the pure boy next door police officer. He wouldn't do that, but he recognizes Trixie because he saw her at the strip club. Yeah. So he comes back and then like the implication is that he and Trixie are falling in love and going to run away with each other at the end, which is why the twist is so incredible.
Because he saves her life and she looks at him and she's almost like, she's simpering and then she reaches into her crotch and pulls out a throwing star.
Yeah.
And she chucks it at him. It just kind of slices him across the chest. And I was like, after getting exploded in a caravan, I didn't think that the throwing star would really finish him off.
Yeah.
And yet...
I can't believe that shuriken killed Fox.
And I'm pretty sure she gets up and she's like, we're all just bitches in the end. that's the quip.
Which again, like, is a line that sounds cool in some ways, but is completely meaningless in the context of the movie. He didn't say anything about bitches. Bitches haven't been like a recurring thing mentioned outside of the title of the movie. It doesn't mean anything.
I'm pretty sure they also end the film by using an Art of War quote.
Yes, they do.
The film ends with a narration from Trixie at the end saying, all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Hold out baits to entice the enemy, feign disorder, and crush him. The Art of War, 380 BC. And also they use a Joseph Conrad quote at the beginning.
That's right.
The belief in a supernatural source of evil is not necessary. Men alone are quite capable of every wickedness.
Because if I was to describe this movie, it is a treatise on evil.
Yes,
you know, the nature of evil in man.
Really ties into the strong thematics present in this film about evil and men and war, which is great. Really effective.
And lesbians!
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's hot. It's just maybe the most insane piece of cinema I've ever watched. And we've watched some truly crazy shit on this list and outside of this list.
We have.
This is just on another planet. It is like an alternate dimension where people still have fun when they make movies.
It just really rubs me the wrong way that they were almost like offering him an olive branch by being like, yeah, it's an exploitation film that is really like going back to things like Faster Pussycat, right? And he's like, no, just I wanted to see hot girls in the desert. And they're like, okay.
But that's what I mean in that he's infinitely creative then. That's like, you know how like kids sometimes invent things that have already been invented?
Yeah.
He did that with, it's like, if exploitation films weren't already a thing, he might have invented exploitation films. He just independently made an exploitation film completely unironically in year of our Lord 2009. Jesus.
Want to hear some trivia?
I would love to hear some trivia.
IMDb trivia! I only have 2 pieces of trivia. They're not very interesting.
That's shockingly little.
I know. There was 4 items in IMDb, if you could believe it. And then I searched around online. I tried to get interviews about it. No one had anything interesting to say about it. There wasn't really that much that went... There's nothing interesting about the production. It's just that the film is chaotic as fuck.
Yeah.
So...
It all just went perfectly smooth.
Oh, yeah. The final product came out immaculate. The desert scenes, where the majority of the locations were shot, appear to be hot, when in fact filming was done in mid and late March when it was still winter. The 3 female leads spent most of the time between takes literally shivering under heavy winter coats.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
The other piece of trivia is that Julia Voth, who played Trixie, this was her debut in any film.
Yeah.
She was known as a model, and she was also the character basis of the woman from the Resident Evil games. Jill Valentine.
Jill Valentine, yeah.
I even saw a photo. If you look up Julia Voth, there's a photo of her at like some Comic-Con because someone sent her the beret that Jill Valentine wears in the game.
Oh, cool.
And she was like, oh, so she went to a Comic-Con dressed as Jill Valentine. Everyone lost their shit because it was the Jill Valentine.
So when I watched this and I thought, she looks familiar, it's not because I know her from a movie role, it's because I've played Resident Evil.
She hasn't been in that many movies. This was her first movie and she hasn't actually been in that much
You're
since.
telling me this performance didn't lead to a long and illustrious career?
You're not going to believe it, but no.
I actually think she might be the least interesting because I think whoever played Chimera was probably...
Oh, I can't remember.
I think they were probably the quote-unquote worst because it was the biggest acting choice at every single turn.
It was. When I was watching it, I was like, she's giving the worst performance. But when I look back at it, I was like, no, but she was also the best to watch because she was at 150% the whole time. She was like, fuck you, hell. All right? Fuck you into the ground. You ass rod, bitch rod, Nimbus.
It was almost
3000.
like very Nicolas Cage in terms of just screaming with not necessarily any rhyme or reason at random parts of a sentence.
It's like her whole body was tense the entire time.
Yes.
And she's like stomping around on the ground. And she was just really, again, she was really giving it all. She was really giving it like the gusto of the film.
I think whoever played Hell was probably the best in the movie because she just like sunk into it. I really believed that she was a member of like the Foxy Force or whatever.
She was the best actress of the 3.
Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, she had the most work out of the 3 of them. Do you want to hear some reviews?
Yes, please.
Reviews! On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 29%, higher than most.
Yeah, there's a reason that's higher than Ouija.
Yeah. Joe Layden of Variety magazine wrote, overblown and underwhelming, Bitch Slap is a desperately unfunny attempt to satirically recycle cliches and archetypes from sexploitation actioners of the 60s and 70s. This is a review from Michael Ordona of the Los Angeles Times. The target audience must be that awfully precise niche that never tires of women punching each other. And it's true, because I think there's like 10 minutes, solid 10 minutes in this film of women just punching the shit out of each other.
All right, but I didn't need to be called out in that way.
And I have 2 IMDb reviews for you tonight. This one is a 10 out of 10 review. It is labeled, "It's all in the title, really." And this is from Scored. And they left this review in 2011. I'm surprised this is scored so low. Now, it's not Oscar material, but really what sort of movie do you expect? The problem is it's not the Deer Hunter, Harry Potter, Mission Impossible, Kill Bill, Schindler's List, or Hamlet. Yeah, that's the the usual spectrum of films we cite as good films.
The classics.
You know, Mission Impossible.
Deer Hunter, Harry Potter.
Hamlet.
The movie.
Which one? Is a movie called Bitch Slap going to appeal to my Guardian reading, yogurt weaving, bleeding heart liberal mind? The promo poster clearly represented exactly what kind of movie it was going to be, and with those expectations, I'm voting it a 10.
Hey, as a literally Guardian reading, yogurt weaving, bleeding heart liberal, I loved it, all right? Fuck you.
Fuck you. Here's a movie left by Kevin B12, because he was low in his vitamins. And it was 9 out of 10, labeled, I love this movie, even if it involves women. Sorry.
Whoa. Whoa. And I thought this movie was sexist.
What a loaded title. This movie is a wonderful movie I have ever seen in my entire life. If this movie has women in short dresses, then I would go for such a movie like this one. It is more action-packed than any other women's action movie I have ever seen in my life. A big thumbs up for me is what I rate this movie. Shooting, fighting, lesbian kissing, and lots of profanity make this an excellent movie for anyone 17 years of age or older to watch. This movie is forbidden for anyone under 17 years of age, including the unrated version. I recommend this movie to anyone who loves to watch women in action. Even I think Megan Fox would be good for lots of action movies, and not Paris Hilton. 9 out of 10.
Even Megan Fox.
But not Paris Hilton.
I actually think that review made me like the movie a little less.
Yeah.
Because it made me go, if that guy likes it, I don't want to touch it.
So true, though. I never really considered that Megan Fox would be good for more action roles, but not Paris Hilton.
Famously, never been in an action movie.
I would pay to see Paris Hilton in an action film. 100%. I can imagine her blowing this guy's brains out and being like, that's hot.
I mean, she has been in actual, like, Z movies.
She's been in a lot of, like, films about, like, the hottie and the naughty. Like, she was in a lot of, like, comedies about, like, high school girls.
But I thought she was in also things like My Zombie is a Stripper or whatever. My Zombie is...
You really know the industry.
No, when it comes to like Z movie direct-to-DVD bullshit, which sadly I feel like are vanishing because direct-to-DVD, maybe I guess video on demand, but how do you promote? Anyway, they are just like throw in random genre words.
I was saying to Claude the other night, I was like, man, there was a point in history where every film in the early 2000s was about 4 men on a road trip because one of the guys saw one girl one time and thought she was the love of his life, and it was the best movie ever.
I also saw a tweet that pointed out in the mid-2000s there were a lot of movies where the premise was this guy has too many kids.
Hey, I liked Cheaper by the Dozen. Everyone did. It was heartwarming.
Not critics, I don't think.
Anyway, what would you give this film out of 10, Michelle? Because I've got thoughts.
That's a really challenging question. Because on the one hand, this movie is bad. Like, it is bad. I was thinking while watching it, and especially while like sitting on it, like I'm a really, really big fan of Kill Bill. That was my actual favorite movie for a long time. And like what I like about that movie is it's taking elements and influence from these kinds of exploitation movies, but then draping it in actual good substance and storytelling and emotional character fulfillment. And this like is that source. Like it is like watching the source material of something else. But like it's still bad, and like there's a lot in the middle where it's so much that I'm just confused. But at the same time, I feel like it is in every way exactly what it wants to be. I don't think it wanted to be anything other than exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Which arguably makes it a 10, but I feel like a villain if I declare it a 10 over anything else. But I'm going to say I'm going to give it a simultaneous score of 1 and 10. Because, because it is both. It is both scores at the same time. It is, on one hand, the worst movie and exactly what it wanted to be.
We've never had 2 scores before. Combined, it's 11. Your score is 11 out of 10.
No.
I think that, like, I really enjoyed watching this film. I could easily watch it again. So I actually have to rate it as a film now because now it's met that criteria and I can move forwards with this rating. Obviously, it's like sexist as fuck. And when he was interviewed about it, the guy was really just straightforward about, no, I just wanted to see hot girls in the desert. And that almost made me like it more for that.
That's what I'm
saying. He didn't beat around the bush. It wasn't like nuanced sexism. It was just flat out misogyny, and I can't get behind it. That's not what I was gonna say.
Whoa, you guys heard it here, folks. Whoa, Abigail Ward gets behind sexism.
But at least I can just carry on with my day.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rate this bad boy just for the sheer fun and thrill of watching a truly strange, shocking film. I'm going to rate it like a 6 out of 10. Because if
Yeah.
our standard is a good year,
Yeah.
I liked this way more.
Yeah. I liked
Not
it more
enough
than
to push it into 7. But maybe like, no, you know what? 5.5. 5.5 out of 10.
5.5.
That feels fair.
Still lower than Ra 1.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's going to beat Ra 1.
I think that's more fair than my review. I mean, you could average mine at 5 and say we both gave it 5, you know, if you wanted.
Yeah. Sure.
But I agree that it's definitely better than the barometer of a good year. It was more enjoyable. I would watch it again. I will recommend it to other people. I didn't come away from it feeling sad.
And that's huge for us.
That's what a way to ring in the 50.
Guys, we have done 50 episodes of Rating Descending. We're looking into doing bonus episodes. That is content that is not on the list of really bad films that we feel deserve to be watched regardless.
Yeah.
So if you have any recommendations for things you think we should include as bonus episodes, if there's a really, really bad movie you would love to see in this show, email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com, or you can message us at ratedescendpod at Twitter. Also, we're setting up a new little fun TikTok. You can find us at Rating Descending.
Nice. You can also find us on our own personal social medias. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at michelle.stclair.
I'm also on Instagram under Abigail J. Ward.
And as always, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It apparently helps the algorithm.
Yeah, baby.
And
help us out.
Everything we do these days is all about that algorithm.
Sweet algorithm.
Hey, Althany G rhythm.
I
Give
might
me
be
some
white,
of
but
that.
I've still got algorithm, baby.
Give me some of that algae, baby. That's all we need. Oh, please, computer mommy. Give me some of that sweet, good math content.
Michelle.
Content math.
Michelle.
Yes?
What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching Little Man.
Say less.
Yeah, I've made my piece.
Catch us next week, folks, while we delve into the first Wayans Brothers film on this list,
Little Man.
Little Man.
Little Man.
Catch us then.
Bye.
Bye.